So I'm here today along with Allison Waller, who is our brilliant program director, and also Kelly Taylor, who is a college student and one of our She Works graduates, to tell you a little bit more about how you can get an intern. First, just a quick word about LiveGirl. We are a nonprofit girls leadership organization on a mission to build confident, inclusive leaders. And we do that by providing free of charge, year-round leadership development and mentoring for girls, starting in grade 5 and going all the way through college. We serve thousands of girls annually. We hit record numbers last year amid the pandemic, and we serve about 65% girls of color. So our organizational lens is really centered on all girls who need us, but especially girls of color and those who need us most. So let me tell you a little bit more about She Works, which is our career readiness and college internship program. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so She Works. She Works was launched 1 year ago, and it's a career readiness and internship program designed to match brilliant, diverse college students with companies that demonstrate female leadership. The why on this, I think, is maybe evident. Internships are so essential for a young person's career launch. And currently about 91% of college students indicate that they landed their internships through connections, and about 43% familial connections. So we live in a world today where connections matter most, and She Works is a program trying to level the playing field and to give these opportunities to all brilliant, diverse, talented young women. Our last 2 program cycles of She Works included 67% women of color. So how it works, we recruit and vet the interns for you. Many of them come through our active community. Many have been involved with LiveGirl since their middle school years. And then we administer a robust career readiness and training program. We've developed this with some of the top leadership experts in the field from Yale and Columbia. And the career readiness training covers topics such as knowing more about yourself and communication, the power of diversity, clarifying professional purpose, knowing your rights in the workplace, goal setting, as well as we cultivate and foster community-based learning in the She Works cohort. And we administer weekly journal prompts and reading assignments. We do prioritize paid internships in this program, as a key goal of the She Works program is to economically empower young women and cultivate a diverse cohort. In terms of the result of the program so far, as I mentioned, we launched this a year ago. The results are very exciting. 100% of our employers would like to return and participate in She Works this coming summer 2021. 86% of our employers indicated that their internship exceeded expectations, 100% met expectations. And on the intern side, the learnings are invaluable. If you look at some of the attitudinal statements that we gauge, so this program is evidence-based, and which means we administer both a pre and post survey. At the end of the program, 100% of the participants agreed that they had a positive professional development experience. 97% now know how to use networking to develop their professional relationships. And over 94% agree that they now feel confident speaking up in work situations that make them feel uncomfortable. And you can read further here on the right some of the results from the program, but I think you'll all agree that the impact is outstanding. So how does it work? I've got up on the screen now our timeline for our summer 2021 program. Applications open soon on February 15th, and you would then be matched with an intern by mid-April. And then following the intern completing the robust career readiness training program, they would come to you starting in mid-June through the end of July. We do have, as I mentioned, a very diverse cohort that will be putting together for this program. It is a competitive program. We have girls coming to us from many different colleges and universities across the state of Connecticut and even beyond, and from many different majors and career interests. So we're confident that, whatever your small business may be, that we can find an intern for you. So I could keep talking about this program at length, but I think sometimes it's best if you hear from the students themselves. So we've invited Kelly Taylor, who is a remarkable young woman. She's actually been involved with LiveGirl. I've known Kelly since she was a freshman in high school. She is now a sophomore at Housatonic Community College, and she's actually participated in 2 She Works internships, both last summer and this winter, and I've invited her to share a little bit about her experience.
So hi everyone, my name is Kelly Taylor. Thank you, Sheri, for this amazing opportunity, and thank you to the participants as well to join this conversation. SheWork has been an amazing opportunity for me. It's allowed me to explore the internship world, um, and just embrace professionalism and just learn about the corporate world in general through the internships. Like Sheri did mention, I go to Houston Community College. My major is computer information systems. And the internships that I was chosen and placed in the summer, I worked with Stacy Tisdale, who, if you know, she's the first Black woman to produce or work at the Trade Center. And this past winter, I had the honor working with Kate Bioko, who's an interior designer. So coming from production work and into interior designer, and I'm a computer major, it's totally different. It was extremely learning curve, but something that I enjoyed. The SheWorks program definitely did prep me for this learning curve. We learned about email etiquette. We learned about how to conduct ourselves to our employer in HR, and how representation, diversity really does matter, but also networking with your professional, your supervisor or manager of the company. But not only just networking with professional companies, but networking with amongst the girls in the cohorts. We're like a big sister in a bond, because we do meet weekly meetings, or we do have our own chat, and we do talk to each other just to connect with each other to a different level. And it's been a great experience, especially for doing since we're in COVID and it's very hard for us to meet in person. This has been a great opportunity. I have friends asking me, how did you get this internship? I have other people asking me this questions. I'm like, it's all through LiveGirl and their connections, and for what they want to give us to empower and take into our profession.
Thank you, Kelly. And so I'm sure that you all agree that Kelly is just a shining example of what can be through the SheWorks program. And our goal is to launch Kelly into the world and the other SheWorks graduates, so that they're more career ready and so that they are equipped to lead in the workforce. Our goal ultimately is to help close the female leadership gap. So with that, we will turn it over to Julia. So we kind of told you how you can get an intern. Now Julia is going to tell you how you can fund that intern. And then afterwards, we'll take any questions you may have.
Hi, everyone. My name is Julia. I am a program associate with CTNext. Based on the first part of the presentation, I think we are all in agreement that pursuing internships or being able to take on interns is so essential on behalf of the employer as well as the graduate or the student. But sometimes the common problem we face is when businesses are like starting up or looking to take on a new venture, it may not be in their budget to take on an intern. CTNext has a variety of programs, so we really work to close that problem a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and talk a little bit more about one program specifically. All right. So the program I'll be talking about is the Technology Talent Bridge Internship Program. CTNext as a whole is a subset of the organization Connecticut Innovations, and we all have the same mission, and that's just to foster innovation and build a more robust and collaborative environment within the state of Connecticut. CTNext, as I already mentioned, runs a bunch of programs, and they're all focused around small businesses being able to accelerate growth, share knowledge, access talent, and interns, space, expertise, services, skill development, and capital to keep their businesses growing. Technology Talent Bridge, or TTB as I'll refer to it, has some specific objectives with interns. We like to stimulate job creation, encourage experiential learning, increase post-grad hiring, and increase talent retention in the state. 46% of graduates leave the state of Connecticut to begin their careers once they graduate from a Connecticut higher ed institution. So we really focus on that specific category of interns, and the hope is that they will remain in the state once we, lead them to an internship so they're able to plant those career roots and see all the wonderful things that Connecticut has to offer, and they'll continue their careers here because the talent is so great, we hate to see it leave. So like I said, TTB aims to develop that bridge between graduates and college students and small businesses by subsidizing the cost of taking on an intern. How it kind of works is businesses come to us, they submit an application, and they come ready with an intern. As we've already seen, there's lots of ways to get an intern. So once they have the intern, they submit an application to CTNext through our TTB program, and they fill out all the questions, and we are able to help subsidize the cost by administering 2 tranche payments that help cover the labor of the intern. Who can apply? So we are focused around small businesses, so that's less than 500 or less employees. You have to be based in the state of Connecticut, and although we do aim at startups, we do ask that businesses have been established for at least 1 year. They have to be in compliance with all the laws and regulations in Connecticut, and we do ask for documentations and letters of good standing from the Department of Labor, the Department of Revenue Services, and the Secretary of State. Grants are good for a 12-month period. So once you receive that grant, you're able to take on a winter intern, a summer intern. You can do 2 sessions. You have 1 year to use the funds that come from a TTB grant. Some other funding requirements. This is more focused around what type of students we are looking for. We ask that they are enrolled actively pursuing a degree in a higher ed institution. So whether that be an associate's, that's fine. If they're pursuing a bachelor's degree, we do ask that they're in their 3rd or 4th year of that bachelor's degree. So like I said, we really are focused on the group of interns that are like immediately about to enter the workforce in the state of Connecticut. And we also cover interns that are pursuing master's degrees or any other postgraduate degree. TTB is focused around longer term internships. We don't cover anything that's like a small week project or anything like that. We really want people and our interns to plant good deep roots in the state. So we're focused around 320 hours as our minimum for the hours. So that's approximately 8 weeks full-time or 22 part-time. They have to be W-2 employees, and there is a $15 an hour minimum for undergraduates and a $25 an hour minimum for graduate students. Another important component is that businesses are required to front a match. So if the total cost of an internship, just to use round numbers, let's say is $3,000 to take on an intern. CTNext will cover 2/3 of that total cost, so 2 of the $3,000, and then the business is responsible for the last 1/3 of the total cost, so that last $1,000. And this really helps stimulate growth, and having CTNext cover the majority of the internship makes having an intern a lot more accessible to the small businesses in Connecticut. And that's basically it. I am a program associate, so I oversee multiple programs with CTNext. So feel free to reach out to me at the email you see there and, connect, touch base. I love expanding my network. And if TTB isn't a great fit for you, there probably is a program that is a good fit. So feel free to reach out. And if you do want to walk through the TTB application, I'd be more than happy to go question by question, or if you have anything specific to your business, I can definitely address those as well. Let me stop sharing so I can see you guys again. There you are. But yeah, and a lot of times businesses get a little overwhelmed when they see the application because there's a few different components and you have to submit a budget. But feel free to give me a call. This is what I do all day, so I'm more than happy to talk through some of the details or answer any specific questions that you guys may have. And with that, I think that we will take any questions if you have any for Sheri or me. Now is a great time to get them flowing.
Yeah, great. So thank you. If you can either unmute and ask the question, or if you want to pop any questions in chat. I also would invite Julia, if you want to just put your telephone number. I think I put your email correct in the chat, but you just double check it. And I actually just had one quick question while we're waiting for people, just in terms of best practices or steps to actually work with a college intern. Do you have any tips or tricks?
I can go first, and then Julie, if you want to jump in. So we actually have worked with a number of larger global companies to develop develop templates and best practices. So for example, we, for the She Works program, we do have, for any new employers to the program, we do have a mandatory employee orientation at which we go through the templates that are available. So for example, there's a scope document that we recommend that they negotiate and communicate with their intern. And I think the key best practice is truly making sure that you've properly scoped an internship assignment for the time that the intern will be with you. If that's going to be 100 hours through She Works or 320 hours through the TTB, to make sure that you've appropriately sized the scope of the job. And then also the other best practice we always emphasize with our employers is to make sure that they have, they're very clear on who their direct manager is, and that there is also then someone that they can go to for any challenges or problems that may arise while on the job. From a She Works standpoint, we actually assign each of our interns a mentor. So outside of their internship company, they do have a LiveGirl mentor that checks in with them on a weekly basis to make sure that they are set up for success and that they have everything they need. And also because these are young professional women and they're still learning. And so there are often challenges that arise on the job that the mentor will help them and coach them through. I mean, sometimes it requires coaching them to advocate for themselves or, to clarify expectations or deliverables with their manager. But we make sure that those conversations are happening so that in the end, both the employer and the intern are coming out satisfied with the experience.
Great, thank you. I see there's a couple questions in chat. I believe they are for Julia. Do you want me to read it or?
I can take a look. Let's see.
Okay.
So the first question asks about the tax situation. So TTB funding is a grant. So the checks, the 2 tranche checks would be made out to the business, and the employee would just be taken on by the company as a regular W-2 employee. They would pay all of their taxes and everything through their payroll documentation. And when you go to close out your grant, CTNext will check for all of that to make sure that, there were no gaps or any issues with that before we get everything closed up very nicely. And again, if you have further questions, like business specific, we can discuss those further as well. Sometimes it's hard to answer from a broad overview because everyone is so unique. But let's see what we got next. So the next one says, does it have to be an LLC or can you be a self-employed person? You have to be registered with the Secretary of State to do business. So whether that be an LLC, a nonprofit, you have to be a business or a company. And then
what about for LiveGirl also? Does it have to be an LLC to?
So it's not, no, self-employed is able to apply for the program. Allison, we have, I think on the employer application, we do ask for some details around your business status, whether it's for-profit, nonprofit, and then the stage, whether it's startup, and then we ask for income and number of employees so that we can gauge the size of the business.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you. And then I think this question is for both of you too. As a solo for neuro, I'm not sure what neuro is, Anne, but most of what would need is an intern for marketing, prospecting, making snail mails, social media. Would that be appropriate for an intern? I can tell you we definitely work with interns that way, but why don't you add to that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, for She Works. Actually, that's almost an ideal role for some of our interns. We've got a lot of young women interested in either marketing or digital marketing careers. All of these women, I can assure you, are so social media savvy. I'm always learning things from our college interns. So yes, what you described there would be an appropriate intern role.
Yeah, and actually thinking about it, I know Holly Hurd from Venture Mom worked with several of the interns just to get her podcast launched. And I think that there's some people on right now that probably from HAYVN that have had interns that have probably used it for this too. So
coming from a TTB standpoint, in the application process, CTNext will ask for details about the project that the intern will be working on for, their 8 weeks or their 22 weeks. I think that including everything is great, but they are focused around taking on companies because, grant funding is limited. So we do prioritize companies that have like a tech-enabled internship. So things like marketing, social media, those definitely are tech-enabled and would qualify. The more you can put in the application about what the intern will do, the better for everybody.
Great, thank you. Is there any other questions, thoughts? Anybody want to share? I see like Amy Kaiser is on. I know you've worked with several of the interns.
Yeah, we've had several. I think the key is to be as specific about your needs as possible. At least that's one thing we found, because we kind of asked for social media, and I think it's, we've had different areas of expertise or interest in social media. Like our most recent intern was really analytical, whereas the ones in the summer were really creative. So it was a different, so we kind of adjusted the internship to their strengths. But that was one thing I think that I found interesting is like, you coming from where, what their majors are, what their interests are, they might have different interpretations. So I think we should have been more specific, I think, in what we were looking for. But it was a great experience. They're such wonderful women. They're smart, they're eager, they're, they want to be professional. They want feedback. So it was a great experience.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that I had a great experience as well. And I have someone doing social media. So she was fabulous. I have a wellness business and, they know Instagram way better than we do. So I would joke with her. I'd say like, Manasi, just make my photos look like yours, with her and her friends, so we would laugh. But, hopefully as things open up more, she and I were supposed to meet in person and then things happened and things like that. But I think, I never met her face to face, but we communicated on Zoom and everything. But I think as time goes on, hopefully we'll be able to do socially distanced coffees and meetings so we form more of a relationship with them. But thank you for all you do with the program.
Yeah, I think, and I also would love at some point with LiveGirl to actually have the girls housed here, or to have the meetings and have the businesses kind of connect. So hoping for vaccines and safety in-house soon. Emily Watson had a question. Do you still qualify if your business operates in Connecticut but is based in New York?
For She Works, that is a yes. Julia, for
TTB, it gets a little trickier. You have to have a physical location in the state of Connecticut, and you have to be, and that might be like a co-working space or something, that's totally fine. But you have to be able to get all of like the required documentation. So from the Department of Labor, the Secretary of State, from Connecticut.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's another reason to have a virtual office with an address in Connecticut, right? Use that program. Okay, well, Amy just said that she had to jump, so thank you, Amy. Well, I think if we don't have any other questions, we can give you back another 25 minutes of your day. I wanted to thank everybody for coming, Julia, Sheri, Allison, and Kelly. I don't know if Kelly's still on, but it was a wonderful presentation, and I'm really looking forward to applying for the next intern and hopefully getting someone. And everybody put their information in the chat. We're going to have this on YouTube also, so you can spread the word. Thank you all for coming. Great.